Hello. Thank you for listening and watching You Had Options. This week I have Ryan Murphy of the Venue Group on. They're doing a lot of cool things up in Huntsville. They're building the Huntsville Amphitheater. We talk about his plans with expanding Huntsville's, musical footprint. Bringing a lot more voices to artists that aren't being heard right now. Very interested in seeing what they do up there in Huntsville. Thank you again. Make sure to subscribe on the YouTube. You know the deal. Go like us on Instagram at youhadoptions. You can follow me on Twitter at youhadoptions. I think I'm gonna start the Twitch back up. Twitch.tv/youhadoptions. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you for joining me.
Yeah, of course, man. Thank you for having me.
Of course. You seem like a very busy guy. So,
yeah, I mean, I can't deny that. But it's always I'm only busy because I feel like I'm just reshuffling all the same shit all the time. It's just like all the obligations and the things I want to do and have to do. It's just like constant, exercise of just working the calendar.
Yeah.
And then I finally get to actually have the meetings like this.
Yeah. Yeah. So you, Huntsville Venue Group, for people who don't know, you guys are building a amphitheater up in Huntsville.
We are, and so much more.
Right.
Yeah. So Huntsville Venue Group's, the Huntsville extension of Venue Group, which is, we have projects in London, Austin, Nashville, LA, DC, Huntsville. And so I came over here 2 years ago to spearhead the Huntsville part of it. And that is to build this 8,000 seat amphitheater here in Huntsville, Alabama, along with, the promise that we gave was not only this 8,000 seat amphitheater on behalf of the city of Huntsville, but we are going to create more of a musical ecosystem by supporting local artists. If we saw a need for smaller venues, it's like, I think Alabama, there's so many areas in the Southeast, I'm coming from Florida where it's the same thing. It's like, there's not enough great venues of all sizes,
True.
So, I think the thing that we approach it, that's interesting. It's like, how many cool 8,000 seat venues have you been to? And I mean, cool as a relative term of like the people that operate it do it the right way.
Right.
You're not getting nickeled and dimed. It's more of a cultural experience. You feel like the programming's done in a way that doesn't just bring in the acts that make a quick buck. Like it's thoughtful. It's intentional. It's like, you don't see a lot of larger venues doing that. You do on the club level because it's people like you and I getting to, force our musical tastes into a club, right? So to be able to do that on all different scales and that being our promise to the city, it's exciting. It's a cool way to come into North Alabama and start shaping us, because I didn't know anything about Huntsville, Alabama before I moved here. I'll be honest.
Yeah. It's whenever I first saw that there is a Huntsville Amphitheater being put together, I was like, surely that's not Huntsville, Alabama. That's like Huntsville somewhere else. And so I was very surprised, and because like you're just saying, in this area of the country, it's the bigger venues are going to be like, kind of run understandably. It's a business too, but just just like you were saying, making the quick buck. So it's
It's a cookie cutter model. It's but I think the reason why we got the gig to do this on the city is because the work I had done in Florida spoke to it, but it's like it's a community amenity. It's a space that people can treat like it's theirs. It's not this like, I mean, that the amphitheater in a box kind of thing has bastardized the whole model where it's like you have this concrete slab, a metal roof over it, and then a big lawn, and then you call it an amphitheater.
Right.
I mean, what's the point of that? To me, there's no real experience in that. They're all well and good, but it's like by the time you're in the back, you're just looking at a big screen, you're drinking your $18 beer, and you're
Right.
like, you're just leaving early so you can beat the traffic. That's like sums up what like that to me.
Yeah.
Where here, it's like it's such a different vibe. It's such a different experience as far as what we're trying to do. And it's like, so many people working on this project or people, a lot of us have been musicians in the past. We've worked small, we support a lot of the underground music communities where we come from. Even Ben, who's our CEO, I mean, him being in Mumford and Sons, he's clearly like seen the world in a totally different way. But
Right.
he started by supporting the London underground music scene and still does to this day. And that's kind of the seeds of this company. It's like really just investing in the local music community and a lot of the underground music community that hasn't had a chance to kind of break out. And it's like here in North Alabama, in Huntsville, it's like, man, there's such an untapped, unappreciated hip hop scene that it's like, that's massive, and it's like, they haven't had the spaces like a lot of these artists and performers. So we're hoping we're changing the tide with all of that,
Yeah. Is when you guys get like a new city to work in, do you guys already have like your ideas planned? Is it already planned out? Like completely, I don't know. Like what's the first goal whenever you move the venue group moves to a new city?
So I think just in general, the goal is to help create inventory of venues that those principles that we feel are important. They're speak to the community. They're added value. They're not just being shoved into a market. So Huntsville was interesting because before there was even venue group, we took on this project, and it's because the city had done a music audit through a company called Sound Diplomacy, and they're based in the UK, and they're pretty phenomenal. They come into a city and a community, and they do a full audit of local music infrastructure, whether it be artists, recording studios, practice spaces, record labels, venues. They do a full scope of it, and then they identify the weaknesses and the strengths of it all, like a whole SWOT analysis. And then they give it back to the city in which this community, exists, and says, here's what the city can be doing to really support it. So for instance, like, they have recommendations to help change some of the curfew or noise ordinance stuff, or here's the money you could put into some downtown venues because it looks like no one goes downtown for music because the two places that exist only really have cover bands. And that's kind of not the like music venue that you're trying to create. So so we followed the lead of them into this project, and because they had primed this city to what was needed, and an amphitheater was one of those suggestions. But as we look into other places, it's kind of just more opportunity. I mean, Nashville and Austin and LA and some of these places we're in London, it's not like those markets are, needing
Right.
more music venues. But what they are needing, I feel like, is these venues that are mixed with really cool F&B and kind of operated in a way that's different. We're not just set out to open music venues. They have to have like a complementary piece. It can be like a community theater space, or it could be like somehow integrated to more than just let's see what concerts you're going to have this year,
Yeah. So do you have to have a lot of meetings with the city of Huntsville?
At least, several times a week for sure. And so it's interesting,
Yeah.
and I wore that hat coming from Florida. I've been in local government for a while.
Oh, okay.
And so I was a county director, which makes this role easy for me because I come from the music world.
Right.
But I also had to wear a hat that was a county director, bureaucratic, to do all the stuff we did in St. Augustine, festivals, all kinds of stuff, But it's like I had to gain the trust of the the governmental process and system, which I did, and it's same here. It's like, but I will say Huntsville has a much more progressive take on where they want to go with their city and what they want it to look like. So
Yeah.
I hats off to them because it's all been because of them,
Right.
So,
Yeah, I know Huntsville is projected to be the most populated city in Alabama, and I forgot when, but not too long.
they a little while ago they said 2 to 3 years, and then a month ago they said by July. So I think it seems like people are coming in every day for sure. So and it's exciting. It's like that demographic has changed because Huntsville's been a city of government workers and engineers and just been an interesting take demographically. But now it's all of a sudden people our age with families what they found out was everyone that was living here was making money and spending it on concerts and, music, but they're going elsewhere. They're going to Nashville or Birmingham or Atlanta. Right. So now all of a sudden we have the chance to do that here. And here we go.
Yeah. Yeah. I know there's, especially now there's a big like tech boom kind of happening in Huntsville. And obviously, the rocket program up there is a huge thing.
There's definitely a rocket program. Yeah.
have you guys got to check out the rocket camp or whatever they have up there?
Yeah, man. Yeah, actually, we went to space camp and they gifted us like flight suits and everything. So I had my own flight suit with my badge, and I got on that, whatever it's called thing. Zero, whatever. Flight simulator. But yeah, we did it. We did a quick 1 hour hustle. Cause the big thing for us is when we have artists come here and they're playing the amphitheater, they're playing any of the venues, we want to offer them the ability to go to space camp. Ooh. Or it's like, hey, do you want to go to space camp and check out the really cool stuff that's happening here in that way? Or do you want to go down the road to Muscle Shoals and get a really cool tour of Muscle Shoals Sound Studio or Fame? Or we have a good relationship with them currently. And
nice.
I think it's just exciting for anybody, whether it be Metallica or, whomever, to be like, do you want to go do something cool today? Because we got some cool options.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I'd like to see Lars in the thing. The Gravitron. Just,
Let him go again. He has a drum set that does that, doesn't it? Doesn't he?
I think so. Yeah. Him or Tommy Lee, somebody?
Tommy Lee had one, yeah.
So, yeah, for you to come from punk rock, was it a big shift? Like you were talking about getting into bureaucratic stuff. Did you find yourself being like, what am I doing?
Well, only at first. And it comes from, I was in Gainesville for years, right. And that's, where I come from, and in Florida. And so I had worked in so many of the venues there, toured forever out of there, worked at a record label there, so that's what I did. And then I'd gone to grad school and was working with this organization that was working with migrant farm workers, and it was called Harvest of Hope. And I was wanting to put benefits together to help this foundation through my grad school work. And the band Against Me actually helped do the first one and helped raise money for this organization in Chicago by playing a benefit. And I said, we should do more of these. And I contacted this guy in St. Augustine and said, hey, can we do one in St. Augustine? He said, let's do a festival, a 3-day festival. You take all your resources that you work with Tony and Fest and
right.
No Idea and all the Gainesville stuff. Let's take that and then let's pair it with a ton of hip hop and indie and all kinds of stuff. And let's have a 3-day festival. So we did 2 years of this Harvest of Hope festival, and it was fantastic. Lost a ton of money. But the curation of it was fantastic and the experience was great. But around that time period, they offered me a job in St. Augustine to work at this amphitheater that they were building, and it was through the county. So I accepted the job and came over, and that was my county position. And shortly after being hired as the number 2 over there, the number 1 who was in charge got fired. And so it made me have to become the number 1 over there, which was a daunting task for sure out of the gate. And so I jumped in. I had to learn, to balance the music side of it, the punk rock DIY spirit, and then kind of how do I put that in? And I mean, if you look at it, the very base, depending on your politics, it's like, Andrew, depending on your politics, it's like it's not that far of a stretch to take some of that. You want to say hi, Andy?
Hello.
What's up, man?
Want some watermelon?
Watermelon? Yeah, man. Ship it down to Mobile.
I don't know if it would take.
Nah, I might be able to find one here.
All right.
But yeah, you take that like that fundamental piece of like what should this government organization be doing for its community?
Yeah.
It's like I have some ideas coming from, DIY community, underground music community. It's like, here's what I would do. So I get to incorporate. Sure, we had the John Legends and the Tony Bennett's and the Jack Johnsons and the Brad Paisleys, but it's like we had those major concerts, but it's like if I think it'd be really cool to have, I don't know, a festival that highlights all these local musicians and we bring in all these punk bands and blah, blah. It's like I was able to do that as well. And it just made it more well-rounded. So I think where I come from kind of helps round it out,
I think so. Yeah. Like in our area down here on the Gulf Coast, like I'm sure it's like this most places, but like any bigger festival or bigger show coming through, it's tough for independent artists to get on,
Yeah.
just because there's such like so much, obviously they got to have huge acts, but like there seems to be this no way in for independent artists. So it seems I feel like you guys are doing a cool thing by keeping that in mind when you guys are taking on these huge projects.
Yeah. I mean, we all come from there. So I think that's the thing that helps,
Yeah.
So it's like, then we all, I mean, that's where the lifeblood of all of this is. I mean, that's where every artist starts at that level, or at least, fundamentally they started at that level. So you got to support that. I think, I mean, if you just have this big venue in your city that just attracts like Metallica and Lady Gaga and whomever else throughout the year, maybe now there's something you're going to want to see that's cool.
Yeah.
That's like, who gives a shit? It's just like having a ball field. It's like, I mean, it's just more of a spectator thing than it is anything that moves the needle musically. So if we can do stuff, I mean, even at an 8,000 seat amphitheater, we're going to figure out a way to do some really cool local music showcases, really do some like cooler festivals out there that can speak to different aspects of the community, whether it be hip hop, punk, metal, all that kind of stuff. So it's like, it's not going to be a one trick pony. I think that's the stuff in St. Augustine we were able to do. It's like we had, I would have bands from Gainesville come over all the time. I would have like, the Aesthetics, the new Fugazi band, come over and play the front porch for free during a market, because it was just like, I thought that was cool, and there'd be people who would appreciate it.
Right.
So like that's the kind of stuff that I don't know, that creates a really cool aspect of community, and I feel people can get behind it.
Yeah. I feel like you can't buy that sort of thing. You can't throw money. You can't just have somebody just throw money at that sort of thing. It takes like intention, like you were saying earlier.
Yeah, a lot of intention to think of it well rounded, and that goes beyond just like what you and I are into too. So when I speak of I mean, there's so much of a neglected segment of North Alabama in that hip hop community, and that like they've had no outlet, and these artists are like, no wonder they go to Atlanta or Memphis, like, because it's like, well, there's no one gives a shit here, or no one's supporting it. So if I can take that city funding and like progressive vision at this point and kind of shove it into all this, it's like, that's a win.
Yeah, it's definitely a Huntsville being directly in between Memphis and Atlanta. It's got to be tough to keep hip hop artists there.
Yeah, exactly. So hoping to change that. There's a community that it's just thriving here, and it could be, so it's exciting to me because it's more diverse than anything I've come to and from at this point. So it's exciting. It feels like my world is growing just by being here.
Yeah. Yeah. Talking about all this is making me think of Mobile, because we have like a convention center, or a civic center, sorry, that all these huge bands played in the 70s, and then for some reason band just stop and they've never come back. And so this is like, and also with like bigger tours, it feels like even New Orleans in this area will get skipped over sometimes for whatever reason. So yeah.
It's interesting, and it's like coming from Florida, I'm used to this. Like, I reach out to, you name an artist, even if it's like a Bon Iver or like the National, or like there's certain artists that I was like, oh man, this would be cool to have this band. They're like, we don't really play Florida.
Right.
All right.
Yeah.
Like Florida is a big cul-de-sac, once you get in, you got to turn around and find a way out. And, and I would always be like, well, just come to St. Augustine. We're right here. It's interesting. It's like the same conversation with some of the stuff with Alabama, and that way of like, yeah, we usually skip Alabama on our tours.
Right. Yeah.
And I'm like, well, now we have a reason for you not to. So get to learn Alabama. And it's like, so they're having me speak at the governor has like some state of tourism event coming up in August. And I'm going to go down there and speak. And,
nice.
But it's very much this. It's like, how are we putting not just Huntsville, but Alabama back into a conversation of like, you may think what Alabama is, but you don't, because I can speak from, I wasn't that far away over in Florida, but I had no idea what Alabama was all about until I actually got here. My idea was lower Alabama, just traveling through. I think back in the 90s, maybe playing some shows in Mobile on our way to New Orleans, right? But it's like, like Pensacola, Endor, Mobile, Endor, it's like, but that was like house shows, So, but so it's interesting. So it's like, I think I have the chance to speak from experience, like, hey, everybody, start paying attention. There's actually some cool stuff happening in Alabama. And hopefully Alabama is growing in a direction to where it's like similar to Georgia, where it's like, it's way more diverse politically, culturally, et cetera, than you would ever think.
Yeah. Yeah. What's a big, a big thing you didn't expect, moving to Alabama? What's something you didn't expect?
I think of a lot. I actually think a lot of it has to do with the geography, like the mountains and the rivers and that. Like, so my family and I moved up on top of one of the mountains here. And some of the most diverse like ecosystem. It's like I can hike for hours across the street from my house and not see a single human for like 8 hours, just hiking through the forest, waterfalls, caves, like all kinds of shit, And I'm like, all the land trust and the state park and all the work that's been done in this area to preserve a lot of that lower Appalachian foothills in the mountains. It's gorgeous. So it's like, so there's that part of it. And then the demographic really surprised me. Huntsville's it's not all good old boy, it's not, there's been a heavy influence by the engineers, the multicultural international for years now, and I think people here in Huntsville are happy. So I think I'm surprised a lot by Alabama in general. It's just like, it's not what I expected. It's so much more diverse.
Yeah.
I think that's the argument for a lot of the states in the South who feel like between Alabama, Florida is a fucking quagmire, so Florida doesn't count, but it's like Georgia, Mississippi, Alabama, Kentucky, there's these states that like, man, there's some really great, cool shit happening. And it's gorgeous, and there's people trying to do the right thing, but it's like, I think it gets ignored, or I think it gets overlooked in a lot of ways. So hopefully we can change that on a certain level.
Yeah, I think so. I think you guys will, because it's like traveling around talking to people, and they'll be like, "You don't sound like you're from Alabama." I'm just like, oh, yeah, I can speak. Yeah, that's true.
Hey, y'all.
I have most of my teeth. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's like, it's obviously those stereotypes. I think it's funny because I've been in parts of Canada, or I've been in the, I go outside of Portland an hour, and it's like, man, I see the scariest, more rednecks, like scary, like, just trappings than I do in parts of Alabama. It's like, I saw more rebel flags in Canada than I have since I've moved to North Alabama.
Yeah.
And that's just a, like, yeah. So it's like, it's funny how you geographically things get, yeah. Oh, Alabama. Good luck.
Yeah. Yeah.
I love it. I love it, man.
Oh yeah, it's great. I remember we were driving. It's funny you say Canada has a lot of rednecks. We were driving from Toronto to Quebec, and we stopped to get gas or something, and these French rednecks. I was so like, I felt like I was on a different planet. I was like, this is strange.
Yeah. 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 It's exactly right. It's funny, man. It's just, yeah, there's a thing in certain rural areas, but yeah, it's funny. And it's funny looking at like in the signature of my email, I think my work email, it has like London, New York, Huntsville, Austin, and people are like, wait, what?
Yeah.
What is Huntsville?
That's
And
great.
there's one in Texas and there's one in Alabama. Like both have yeah, an interesting question mark attached to it. But yeah, I mean, I think it's funny. I think the more and more people are kind of scratching the surface of this area, they find out about von Braun and like how the U.S. brought over Nazi,
Right.
scientists to work on the space program. And it's like
Yeah.
Huntsville. We don't really talk about that here in Huntsville. I'm like, well, it's pretty fascinating, And I think there's that show that the Nazi Hunter show
Yeah.
on Amazon. Yeah, there's a whole episode with Huntsville, and I think
Right.
it kind of it was
Yeah.
funny, but it nailed it.
Right. Isn't the like convention center Von Braun Convention Center or something?
Yeah,
Man,
yeah, it's named after the man. So yeah,
makes
yeah,
you
it's
think.
an interesting. Yeah, 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 for sure. But I mean, like with it came a lot of really cool things. It's just that's a piece of the story that's so interesting to me that they tell. They have to figure out a way to tell it in a way that goes, wait, did German scientists around that time?
Right.
So I'm going to say a Nazi scientist.
Right.
Well, it just happened to be a prisoner of war we brought over.
Right. Yeah. Just don't worry about it.
Yeah.
Oh man. Wow. I've got some like lightning round questions. If you
Yeah.
want to do those, I know.
Yeah.
I know you're a busy man. Are you drinking wine right now?
Yep. Ice cold Chardonnay. Yeah. It's no coffee.
No.
Coffee all day long.
Oh man. Is there a venue up there that's inside the mountains, like in a cave?
Yeah, it's not in the cave, but it's a cool part of the land trust on the bottom of the mountain.
Yeah.
It's called Three Caves. Yeah, Andrew just went to a concert there. It was pretty awesome. We're gonna try to start doing stuff there. You have to do it very respectfully and tastefully through the land trust.
Mm.
So it's not like all of a sudden, oh no, we're gonna have like Teenage Bottle Rocket and whatever, like which
Yeah.
I think they're playing tonight. I think they're playing tonight here.
Yeah, the Fractal Brewing.
Yep. Yep. Exactly. So yeah, I saw there's Fractals doing a lot of really cool shows. A lot of
Yeah.
like Brendan
Brendan
coming through. Yeah. There's a bunch of people coming through. So we're hopefully start working with them.
Ooh, that'd be cool. Who would be a dream cave band?
Nick Cave.
Ooh, that makes sense. Maybe just Nick Cave, Cold Cave.
Oh yeah. That's it. That's all you need. That's a pretty gloomy show. That'd be pretty awesome.
Yeah, yeah,
Nick Cave. Cave.
yeah. Get a Sun O in there or whatever. One of those weird like Doom.
I think they'd like vibrate. I think like there'd be like a rock slide or something.
Oh, people get trapped. People get trapped in the cave.
Uh-huh. Exactly.
Oh man. Okay. Let's see. What's your favorite truck stop / gas station on the road?
It was always Flying J. I mean, for years, and I know they've upgraded significantly since the Wawa and like all the ones that have like come online recently. But it was always the Flying J because being on the road, that was the only ones we could find that had the individual like poop stalls that had like a door all the way down and like the wall, like you had your own privacy to go to the bathroom as opposed to like weird feet or hands like for people just like looking at you.
Babies crawling under.
Yeah. Sorry about that. Yeah. Flying J. I'm still a fan of Flying J.
Oh man, what's the worst punk rock bathroom you've had to go number 2 in?
I was actually talking about this the other night with my wife and Andrew and my wife, because we were talking about just everybody has their rituals. They're like
Right.
a lot of pre-show. Like mine was always like it was these superstitious. Oh man, I better poop before I play on the road. And I think Gilman was the time. I think playing Gilman, and I thought it was like, oh man, I'm pooping in Gilman before the doors open. Cool, but that bathroom was terrible, and there was no bathroom backstage, so I had to run out and like before people started coming in the door, go to the bathroom, and it's like, yeah, I had to. Beyond that, there's some gnarly European stories because you're just pooping in a hole a lot of the times, but yeah, I think Gilman was the like I thought it was gonna be cool,
Yeah.
just because I was pooping at Gilman, but yeah, that's it.
Oh man, I've seen pictures of the Gilman bathroom. It looks pretty gnarly. Yeah.
It's gnarly as hell.
What's the last tattoo you got?
I think it was this one. Yeah, it was this one, and it was actually after it says onward. It was part of the symbol of the. It was actually Mumford and Sons came to St. Augustine and did a huge city takeover festival, and it had Justin Townes Earl, and it had like a lot of really great bands are playing, and John Fogerty played it, and it was wild. So I helped produce it. It was this huge thing called Gentlemen of the Road, and that was one of the things. And after that concert happened, I got that tattooed. That was several years back, but because of that concert, I'm here. I'm partnered with Ben and a lot of the people, so pretty significant.
Wow. Yeah. Weird serendipity, or whatever you want to say.
Yeah.
What meant to be. What's your worst borders/customs experience?
Oh man, I feel like it was actually it was on our way to Oslo. It was a ferry experience. We've had some gnarly ones. It was always in Europe. The Canada gnarly stories are just about being denied and missing a ton of shows, which was a fucking bummer.
Right.
But the one in Oslo, we were on a ferry. We got separated and taken to different rooms, and basically told, we're going into Norway, and they're basically telling us, like, they would tell me that, hey, your friend, our drummer, has just told us everything. He told us, what you guys are up to, where the drugs are, what you've been doing, like, so you better, like, they just were trying to play everybody against each other, and it's
right.
like, we had no drugs, we weren't doing anything weird,
right? And
it was just like, but they did this weird intimidation factor, and then it's like, it sounds terrible, but they dragged the drummer and I in, and we're sitting there, and they're basically telling us, like, like, they're just speaking in a little bit of broken English, but being like, where is your sack? Where is your sack? Do you sit on top of your sack? And like, we were just nervous, and we just started busting out laughing because we were like, are they asking us if we sit on our sack? What does that mean?
Right.
And so we're just laughing. And we had gotten robbed in Miami before this tour. So we were wearing like hand-me-down, like whatever clothes we could have found before we got on the plane to go to Europe, which is a totally different story. But I was wearing a jacket that was like 2 sizes too small, and I was laughing, and they go, why are you laughing? Lift up your arms. And I lift up my arms, and the sleeves like just ripped because it was too small on me. And then we just started laughing, and we were laughing so hard it seemed like we were like high as shit or something. Right. But it detained us forever, and it was just I mean, it wasn't that much of a nightmare. Worse things could have happened, and gnarlier things have happened, but we almost missed our show, which ended up being like one of the coolest shows I feel like we've ever played. Oslo is such a cool city, and Norway's just epic. So yeah, that was about it.
Damn, dude. Yeah, they're trying to get you guys to crack.
Yeah, we've had similar things with that. It's like Texas was always gnarly, where they pull us over and they're like, we're gonna search the van. You have to turn around and face this way. You can't watch us search the van, and it's like, oh man, that sounds bad, because we're going to turn around. You're going to go, what is this we found? It's like, obviously the shit you just put in there, asshole. Right. So it was always that, like, oh man, don't do this. And at some point they told us it smelled like a dead body. So they were looking for a dead body. And I'm like, we're just 5 punk dudes on tour. We just smelled terrible.
It's nasty. Yeah.
There's maybe some like a vegan burrito underneath the like
right.
the luggage or whatever, but it's not a dead body.
They're gonna plant a whole bunch of like pirated, DVDs in there, maybe.
Yeah.
What is all this?
Yeah, what is all this?
I think Warner Brothers are be very interested in this.
Interval.
Oh man, what's the most expensive T-shirt you bought?
Oh shit. I don't know. I recently bought I'm trying to think of shirts I bought recently. I bought I think through Kathleen Hanna's shirt company. There's one of that. It's that epic shot of Guy and Brendan from Fugazi where he's hanging upside down in the basketball thing. They made a T-shirt of it. And, Fugazi obviously didn't have shirts. So it's like, but they okayed this one to be made because the proceeds go to the photographers foundation that did that shot back in the 90s or whatever. And so I think that was like, I don't know, $28-30, but totally worth it.
Yeah.
And like a badass shirt that I'll wear forever, but also the cause was really good. So I think, it was a worthy one.
It's an iconic picture too. People know that.
Yeah.
Or what's the since you do all these shows with bigger touring acts, what's the most expensive shirt or the craziest expensive shirt that you've seen?
There's all kinds. The silliest one I saw was and I like him. I guess I like him, but I'll say John Fogerty was interesting. We had him a couple times, and John Fogerty rocks his he's got the bandana and the plaid shirt, the CCR look or whatever, right? So he goes out on the stage and he has his bandana and a little red button up plaid, shirt that he plays. And at the merch stand, they have that shirt, and it basically says, "Buy the shirt that John Fogerty wears for $100." And everybody's like, yeah, and everybody's freaking out. And then people are buying it, but not understanding he's never worn this shirt.
It's not a show worn shirt.
He's not sweating in the shirt you just bought. You just bought the shirt that looks like the one he's wearing on stage. So a bunch of people getting pissed about that and going, I thought this was a shirt it's just kind of on you to not figure out that you just bought $100 plaid shirt.
Right. I guess they weren't giving out, letters of authenticity on.
It's just a Dickie shirt or something. I don't know.
Oh man, John Fogerty's got it figured out.
He does.
What's your perfect pizza?
It's actually, I'm a big fan of anchovies. I don't know if that's a thing. Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, I was vegan for so many years, and not being vegan anymore. The only, I think the pizza, and I had an aversion to cheese ever since I was a kid, but I found a love recently for cheese on pizza. And for me, anchovies, maybe an onion, like a real breath killer, I guess. So yeah, anchovies, man. I fucking love anchovies for some reason. That's the perfect pizza for me.
The smell is terrible, but I can eat them. I don't know. I don't get it.
I love it, man. And I think I've been thinking about that a lot because coming from St. Augustine, Florida, where I could literally just on my way home, see them bringing shrimp and fish and all this seafood off the boat, and literally just grab it and take it home. Being in North Alabama, I don't have that luxury of getting accessibility to seafood. So I've been thinking about seafood a lot.
Oh man. Wow. Okay. And to follow up the perfect pizza question, what do you want on your tombstone?
I don't know, man. I don't even know if I want a tombstone, but that's a good question. You tried? Right? He tried, right?
Right.
Yeah. Leave him alone. He tried. That's what I want.
and then you'll be set up for the tourists to come through and see, and they'll be able to kiss the he tried, headstone.
Yeah, leave him alone. He tried. That's it. And people go, yeah, fair enough.
That's fair. That's a fair statement. That's a very Larry David, Seinfeld
he tried.
Well, Ryan. Well, we've gone about 40 minutes here, man.
Nice, man.
Do you have any closing words of wisdom or, I don't know.
No. The only thing I'll say is, it's like I've been beating the drum for Florida my whole life, which is what, for better, for worse. I feel like now all of a sudden I'm over here in northern Alabama beating this drum for Alabama, telling people to like give it a chance. That's like, I will say, and much love to my people in Florida, but I will say that this endeavor feels way more fruitful and positive and optimistic and forward facing here in Alabama than I ever felt in Florida. It felt like in Florida, there's cool shit. I obviously love Tony and the Fest,
right?
And all my love for the people in Gainesville and St. Augustine and Tampa and Orlando. I mean, there's people doing great things, but it's like you're pushing a boulder up a mountain all the time in Florida, where I feel like here in Alabama, there's like a tide turning. And I think it's, there's an opportunity to kind of, keep doing what you're doing. And I'm keep doing what I'm doing. And there's people in Birmingham that are really starting to turn some corners and some cool shit. So I think, I don't know. We got to keep trying, make the places we live and we care about cool.
For sure. Yeah. I'm excited to see what you guys are able to do in Huntsville. I think it's, like you're saying, I think it's poised for something to pop off.
Yeah. Indeed.
Wow. Well, stay on for a second, but Ryan, you had options, but you decided to talk to me today, and I appreciate it.
Yeah, I don't even know what I have next, so this is it.